Welcome to the EKG Guy. I'm glad you're joining us if this is your first time, and welcome back if you're returning. So we've been going through our EKG coding reference guide online that's available and also in print, but where we're at now is we're going through atrial flutter. So those of you that don't have access, how you get access is you simply go to this link, okay, put that into your search bar. You'll put your email address in, you'll click submit, you'll check your email. Okay, so check your email, you'll get a link, and from that link you'll click and you'll have access to that. So that's the first time when you're signing up, that's how you do that. If you're returning, obviously put your email in and you bypass this whole pathway here. So we've gone through part one, the general features and P-wave abnormalities, where we looked at atrial enlargement, both left and right and biatrial. We've gone through some rhythms, and we're still in this section here in rhythms, okay? And we're going to be looking at this point at atrial flutter. We'll touch a little bit more than usual on some of the management, some of different forms, typical and atypical forms of atrial flutter, and just the general pattern, okay? So we will be getting to that here shortly. Now our website is www.ekg.md for those of you that are new. There you can find lectures, practice, ways to contribute, and you can check out our course, which is much more advanced and obviously hits this atrial flutter topic in more detail. So let's get started. So atrial flutter is an organized macro reentrant electrical activity in the atrium, okay, resulting in a rapid, regular flutter waves, often in that right atrium that we tend to see it. Now these flutter wave rates tend to be between 214 and 340, that's what we tend to use, but often they're in this range, okay? So these are the numbers we use for our text to use, but it's often between 240 and 340 beats per minute. The ventricular rate can be irregular, okay, meaning that it can have a variable AV block, and then or it could be fixed, okay, and this fixed means that there's constant R to R intervals, and variable simply means there's irregular R to R intervals. So if you look at this EKG below, you find these R, one R wave to the next, so this is an R to R interval, and the one that follows, and so forth. Notice that these are all the same in duration, okay? There's no irregularity to them, okay? And that's what we would call a fixed or constant R to R intervals, okay? So these are all R to R, one R wave to the next. Now we said that we'll see these regular flutter waves, okay? And where are those flutter waves that we're seeing? So where we're seeing those is the best leads to look are those inferior leads, so 2, 3, AVF, V1 and V2 are often good ones, okay, as well. So if you look at the best ones here we have are these rhythm strips of lead 2 and V1, and notice that you have these flutter waves, okay. So these are all flutter waves, and then down here you have these upright flutter waves, okay. And what you also may notice is that there's 3 flutter waves that we see here, okay. So 1, 2, 3, and there's also a 4th one that's in the QRS complex, okay? So I want you to be aware of that, because when we name this type of atrial flutter, so these flutter waves, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, and then a QRS complex. Again, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a QRS complex. Now because of that, we call this a 4 to 1, okay, atrial flutter. So 4 to 1 atrial flutter. So hopefully that makes sense. Now if there wasn't, some will mistakenly call this a 3 to 1, but there's actually the 4th one that's buried within that QRS complex. So this is a 4 to 1 atrial flutter, and again you have regular intervals between those flutter waves, which are these ones here, okay, and they're regular, they're occurring at a fast rate. As you can see, they're about around that 300 beats per minute, pretty much one of these big boxes in between. So you would do 300 over 1. It's about 300 beats per minute because they're regular. So it's quite fast, a flutter rate of about 300 beats per minute. And we said this one is a fixed because those R to R intervals are constant. So hopefully that makes sense. So this is an example of a 4 to 1 atrial flutter that is a fixed, okay? Now, if those variables or those these intervals were different, we would call that a variable atrial flutter. Now there's different forms, and this may be a little more advanced that you want to get into, and obviously in our course we go into even more detail, but there's different forms. There's typical and atypical forms. The typical is the common form, okay, of atrial flutter, where you see the sawtooth pattern that you'll often hear about. So these are almost sawtooth-like, and they're inverted flutter waves in the inferior leads, 2, 3, and AVF, and positive, so positive or inverted and negative, positive in V1 and sometimes V2. So if you look here, here are inferior leads, and you can see that these flutter waves here are all negative. Okay, and same thing in each of these leads down here. And then if you look at V1, you can see these upright waves here. Okay, so those are flutter waves. Now remember, you cannot make a diagnosis of left or right atrial enlargement with these P waves. Remember, when we looked at that criteria, we had to have sinus rhythm. So when sinus rhythm is not present, okay, so pretty much here, if you imagine our heart, here's our right atrium, our left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. You tend to have this pretty much circus pattern, this macro reentry pattern going on in the right ventricle. Okay, near the tricuspid isthmus is often a common area in there. Okay, and as you can see, around the tricuspid annulus, due to the counterclockwise rotation. So if you imagine a clock, here is 12 o'clock, here is 6 o'clock. Counterclockwise means going in this direction, okay? And that's why as they go away from the inferior leads, okay, you have these negative inverted P waves, okay, and they're going towards, almost forward, as they come back towards V1. That's why you see those upright P waves, okay? We talk more in detail about that pattern in the course, but that hopefully that's a brief overview, okay? So that's the typical. Now the atypical or uncommon atrial flutter is pretty much when you have the opposite, okay? You have inverted P waves in V1, not sometimes V2, and positive ones in the inferior leads, okay? So obviously this one down here is a form of a typical, you can call it a typical 4-to-1 atrial flutter. A flutter, okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So it's opposite of the typical pattern, and this one is due to a clockwise, so pretty much now you have the same thing, okay, so imagine you have that clock, but in this case now it's going in, instead of the other way, it's going in the opposite direction, okay, so it's going in a, oh, excuse me, I think I may have misspoke here, so counterclockwise going in this direction, okay, so excuse me there. And then in this one, okay, in the typical or the atypical form, you have it going in the clockwise. So again, here's 12, 6, and imagine it going around this way. All right, so I apologize for that. So hopefully that makes sense. So the typical form is when you have the counterclockwise going against that, all right, and that's why you see those. And then this atypical form is in the opposite direction, okay. So hopefully that makes sense, okay? And it's pretty much as this is going away from V1, which is over the right side. That's why in the atypical form, you have inverted P waves or flutter waves in V1, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Now that's a little more advanced and probably more than you have to know, but obviously it can be helpful and something worth knowing. Now in terms of management, we tend to treat these patients similar to atrial fibrillation. Obviously you can do ablation with these, okay? Antiarrhythmic agents are sometimes used, they're sometimes cardioverted, although the rhythm control tends to be favored because rate control is quite difficult to achieve in these patients, okay? Oftentimes with atrial fibrillation, we may stick to only rate control. But in this case, atrial flutter is hard to control the rate, so rhythm control tends to be the one we tend to use. It often requires high doses of more than one AV nodal blocking agent. The definitive treatment for typical atrial flutter is the ablation, okay? Pretty high success rate and low complication rate. Now, oral anticoagulation is, the approach is similar to atrial fibrillation. These patients are at risk for stroke, so we want to anticoagulate them as well. There's a high risk of recurrent atrial flutter with antiarrhythmic therapy as well. So we've developed an artificial intelligence algorithm that if you have a patient in sinus rhythm, so imagine they're in sinus rhythm, okay, we can have now this AI program detect the likelihood of a patient going into atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter. So quite neat stuff. But let's recap here. So Atrial flutter, an organized macro-reentrant electrical activity in that atrium, often here in that right atrium, okay? It results in that regular flutter waves that we've seen. The flutter waves tend to be fast, okay, often near between 240 and 340 beats per minute. Is that flutter rate. The ventricular rate we said could be regular or irregular. Obviously, in this case, it was regular, and often in this case, maybe between about 80 beats per minute, between 75 and 100 beats per minute. We said this one is a example of our typical or common atrial flutter that we saw here, and it's a 4-to-1 because one of those flutter waves is often buried within that QRS complex, so one thing to keep in mind. And then we talked about both the typical, atypical forms, obviously a little more advanced, but something you can read more into and just something to be aware of. We talked about some of the management things, obviously similar to atrial fibrillation, but remembering that rhythm control is favored because it's quite difficult to control the rate of atrial flutter. Okay, and then again, these patients need anticoagulation because they're at risk for stroke. Well, that's the end of this lecture. I hope you learned something. Now, just to keep you in mind of our course material that we have available, so again, if you go to our website, www.ekg.md, okay, so this is our website, and what you'll notice is that if you go to the EKG course here, okay, you'll find stuff that's separate. So notice that we have a number of topics, practice material, lectures, a way for you to contribute, and this is the course here over here. So you'll notice we have over 300 videos or so, and that's more on YouTube. There's another 100, more than 100, about 200 videos that are available with the course. So those are separate videos, and this course is really designed to take you from a beginner to advanced interpreter. Okay, so completely separate from what you're getting online for free. Okay, these are course material that comes with it. So notice that you have a book. Okay, and then you also have the pocket guide available, so you can choose which format. They are the same thing, both these book and the pocket guide, different formats. I really like this small one because you can keep it in your white coat if you're in the clinic or in your pocket, and it's really available on the go. Now with the book, you also get videos. So notice these are the videos, okay? And these are a video for every single page in that book. So it's over 30 hours of video. Now there's a number of practice material that I continue to upload there. Okay, we'll have practice questions coming soon. So all of that's available. Again, this is separate from all the free material that you get already. Okay, so this is more high yield stuff. This is what we used to teach our technicians here and our students here at Mayo Clinic. And it's used now among many institutions. So check that out. Now, what it also includes are calipers. So yes, you get calipers with this course. Okay. I don't know anyone else that offers that, but you do get calipers. I think they're very helpful, and they can, if you know how to use them correctly, can help to identify different arrhythmias that are going on. Okay. And then you also get our pocket EKG reference. Okay, this was something we've put together as we were developing course for the fellows, and this is really nice. It has every code, as you saw earlier, laid out there. Very small pocket guide available. I had help with my colleague, Dr. Peter Noseworthy, who's the head of the EKG lab here at Mayo Clinic, in editing it. So this is something that we use, and we've found very helpful. So go to the EKG course. You'll see examples of lectures, okay, why we developed this, okay. A lot of it came about from myself struggling with learning EKGs, having a father that was an interventional cardiologist and, still struggling. So my struggle is a struggle that I don't want you to have in learning them, okay. You can read all those introductory books, but honestly, they are not enough, okay, and you find yourself using other resources, which is part of the learning process. I wanted to expedite that process for you and make it less inefficient in pretty much what I struggled with going and learning through EKG. So again, from beginner to advanced level with this course, you get the book, the calipers, the coding reference, video access, okay, and now we're offering 25% off. 25% off. Put that code in on checkout, and you'll have yourself 25% off that will even, it's pretty much covers the cost of what we use to print the material. So we don't really make much off it. It's more to help our learners grow and really be able to contribute to patient care. That's why we do this, and we love doing it. So thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them below, and we're happy to answer them. All right, have a great day.